about her loadout. Starting with her primary loadout, Ember comes with either a Supernova or a G8A1, so a shotgun or an LMG. And what's interesting about this is that the Supernova now comes with a silencer attachment, and the LMG has an angled foregrip. Now, the silencer, that's not for sneaky shotgun kills, is it, Alex?
Not really. So for hatches, you have to break them first in order to get up them. So the silencer just helps her be not announcing her position as loudly as before. And then with the LMG, having that new angled foregrip means that she can ready the weapon a little bit quicker.
Right, because she'll probably be popping up from a hatch, maybe literally on site.
Yep.
And you don't want to spend a year bringing that gun up to your face.
Absolutely.
All right, and so for her secondary loadout, she has the option of taking either a shotgun again, which is the IDA 12S, or an SMG, the SMG 11. And what's great here is that even if you take the LMG for your primary, you still have the option of taking a shotgun so that you can still open up hatches, because they have to be opened up in order to use the Gara hook on them.
Right, that's our designers just making sure that you have some options to play with and that everything fits with her kit.
So her secondary gadget options are either breaching charges or a claymore. The claymore is really useful if you need someone to watch your flank. So if you're zipping around the map, going through hatches, and you're worried that a defender might follow you through the hatches, then it's useful to put down a claymore to warn you of that.
Right, and if you want the breaching charge, this opens new ways to flank, to move through some of the jungle of a map to make sure that you get to the objective quickly.
So both of them are good picks overall.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so then let's talk about what I'm sure people are waiting for, and that is how do you counter Amaru? And we'll first touch on the strongest counter to her, which is Castle.
Castle, absolutely. He reinforces the windows so that an Amaru can't break it with just her gadget. She'll need help from a teammate, or if she wants to use a breaching charge on it, that would actually slow down incredibly a lot.
And then after Castle, good picks against Amaru are trap operators.
Yeah, so if the attacking team isn't droning, they're not checking what's beyond that window, what's beyond that hatch, Amaru could get stuck really easily. You just place them underneath those windows.
And then a really strong counter to her is actually just map awareness and sound awareness.
Right, so the design team spent a lot of time with this, making sure that the window is broken so that you can hear her reeling in. It gives a little bit of time for the defenders to anticipate this. And so if you have that one-on-one confrontation with an Amaru bursting through a window, usually the Amaru will lose 70% of the time just because of the noise she makes and the readying time of her weapon.
So she is a very fast operator, as we mentioned. But you do have the ability to hear her when she's coming and do something about it.
Right, so it becomes important for an Amaru player to play smart, not too aggressive, and really use roaming and quick speed to pop up one place and disappear and re-move somewhere else.
All right, let's move on to the second operator of the season then, which is Goyo. Who is Goyo, Alex?
So Goyo has had a bit of a tragic past. He lost his father and his brother at a very young age. So it was his mother who raised him, and his mother's best friend, who actually happened to be Amaru. So Amaru took him under her wing, taught him everything he knows, and that's why they have such a close friendship.
Yeah, I don't mean to add to the heat puns, but just looking at the graphics and everything, you can see that there's this warmth between them and this connection.
Yes, so we'll actually have more to tell about their friendship, and you'll see it more with the CG that we'll be releasing right before the season starts.
All right, let's talk about Goyo's gadget then, which is the Vulcan shield.
Right, so he gets 3 of these. These are the new deployable shields that will be dropping in the season as well. He attaches this canister that can be triggered by a ballistic or by an explosion, and it's really used to funnel attackers into one choke point, trigger it, and delay as much time as possible.
So let's just touch on a few things about the shield. From the front, it looks like a completely normal deployable shield.
Right, so already you have mind games where the attacking side sees the shield, they have to drone it out to figure out if it is a Goyo shield or not, and then they have to deal with it.
Right, because if you started leaping over it, a defender could shoot it up.
You'll be in trouble, yeah.
And then, much like Mira's canisters on her black mirrors, anyone can shoot it. However, unlike Mira's black mirrors, Twitch drones cannot shoot the explosive on the back of it.
Right, so electricity does not affect it.
Right. So don't think that you're going to be getting those early phase prep kills.
Right. That's specifically why the designers made sure that doesn't happen.
All right, so let's talk about his loadout. Goyo has two options of very strong guns to pick. He can take either the Vector 45 or the TC SG-12.
Right. And so the shotgun actually comes with an ACOG, which means he can have very long lines of sight in triggering his canisters. And both weapons actually play well with his ability to either anchor or roam. Because his canisters are deployed by anyone, he can start out as an anchor and place those shields, and maybe he can rotate somewhere else, and the teammate can actually trigger the shield.
Right, so that's a really good time to talk about how, with Goyo, you can be an anchor or a roamer with him, and you can make that decision mid-game, even in the exact same round that you're in.
Right, and both his weapons work out super well with that. The Vector is a strong weapon either way, however you play it, and the shotgun too can be quite versatile.
Especially with the ACOG, you can use that roaming.
Yes, absolutely.
And then for his secondary loadout, he has a pistol, which is useful for getting those vertical shots on his shield in order to set it off.
Yep, it's just a good default standby to trigger those shields.
Now for his secondary gadgets, his options are either C4 or impacts. Of course, impacts are great for roaming, but they're also good for setting up good angles on his shields on site, so that either he can hit them or a defender can hit them while he's off site.
Right. So impacts can trigger the shields, and he can be a bit more protected without exposing his location. And then you have C4, which is, again, a great fragging tool that you can have in your kit.
I'm sure some people would never dare take the impacts over the C4.
Yep, and that's totally their choice. How you want to play Goyo is up to you.
So let's talk about his counters then. Countering Goyo is really about making the best use of your utility.
Right.
So these operators that we're seeing now that counter Goyo, like Ash and Zofia, how they counter him is by swapping one charge of their gadget for one charge of Goyo's gadget. So it's kind of one utility for one utility. It's not the most cost-effective way, but is a quick option to get rid of his shield.
That's right. If you come across the shield, you don't want to be delaying any time for your team. So these are two great options to quickly deal with it.
And then moving on to kind of a similar counter to Goyo, using consumables, so using frags to take out the shields, is another way you can get rid of them.
Right, and it means that you don't have to rely on that Ash or Zofia. You can have some versatility in dealing with these stalling tactics.
But one of the most cost-effective ways of dealing with Goyo is taking operators like Buck or Sledge, and then using the charges on their gadget to get verticality on Goyo's shield, and then just shooting it.
Yeah, and this becomes really important for a good Goyo player to make sure they're placing these shields in places that you can't get those line of sights vertically. You can't destroy the floors and then get that nice angle on it.
And of course, just anyone shooting it with a bullet is very cost effective.
That will absolutely do it.
So that is the first look at both Amaru and Goyo. Both of these operators will also be available to play starting tomorrow, Monday, August 19th on the test server. And now we're going to talk about other upcoming features of the season. More with Alex.
Yeah, and we have a lot of them.
Yes, there are a lot. We'll start with player behavior changes first, though.
Right, so the player behavior team has been working really hard on some quick fixes that actually really improve the game. So at the start of the season, what you'll see is leaving escalation penalties. So if somebody's been leaving quite frequently, we'll step up the penalty that's applied to them, and it should encourage players to not leave intentionally. On top of that, we also have, we'll be detecting if somebody is AFK at the start of the prep phase, and if they have the diffuser, they'll actually drop it automatically at the start of the round. That way you don't have to team kill to get that diffuser on your team. Then, during Season 3, we'll be introducing a couple of more changes, which is squads and reverse friendly fire. So we know we've been listening to the community feedback. Reverse friendly fire has been working really well, but there is this failing where squads can team up on one individual player. They can pick on them, and they don't get a sanction applied. So now we'll be talking about the squad as a total. We'll be getting that reverse friendly fire sanction as a group.
So it's especially appreciated if you're someone who solo queues a lot.
Yeah, these are really small changes that make a big, big difference.
And now let's talk about upcoming changes to the playlists.
Yes, so We started last season with a lot of changes for ranked, and that's really our end game content. We want players to be playing ranked playlists. It's the most rewarding, it's the most competitive, and we want to make sure that we help players get to that content. So one of the changes we're making right now is introducing a new rank called the Champions rank. This is above Diamond tier, above 5,000 MMR. Anybody who reaches above this will be assigned a number, and they'll be compared to other players who have the same rank. Then we're talking about rank distribution. We've changed it up a bit. You'll see the bell curve now lies a little bit closer to the silver, and we've added more ranks at the lower tiers. This way you'll be progressing a little bit more steadily, and it means that gold is a little bit more important now when you do achieve that rank. We have a change to the map pools that I know people will be excited about. So for ranked, we're actually reducing the size of the map pools. We're taking out Hereford, Theme Park, and Fortress, and we're adding the new Canal rework. And you also see casual will be reduced a little bit more, just so that it's easier to learn the maps that you're playing and you're well aware of what you need to do.